Stephen Jones joins us now on The Fan. And a good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. Doing good.
Right on, man. Despite the records, this is one of the most history-rich matchups between an NFC and AFC team. How cool is it for you to see the black and yellow and the silver and blue out there this weekend?
Well, it's going to be outstanding, and of course, hats off to the Steelers and Coach Tomlin and the Rooney family. They've really done a good job of putting this team together this year. Obviously, I think the only undefeated team in the league right now, and playing at a high level. We're going to have our hands full, and certainly, it seems like every time they play, they bring a lot of fans too. So it'll be interesting. I think we'll probably have our biggest capacity of the year. So hopefully we've done a lot of good work this week, we feel like, and hopefully we'll improve again on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously some challenges there at the quarterback position for us, but we're ready to get after it.
Stephen, I hate myself for the question, and I hate the question, but here it comes. T.J. Watt, you had obviously an opportunity to draft and decided either wasn't fit or there was somebody you liked better. 29 other teams passed too, but do you ever look back at that and go, dang it?
Absolutely. I mean, you always do that if you're truthful and you're honest. What you might could have been. The harder part of that is he was in serious contention, and I think the biggest issue was, we were playing a 4-3 there with Rod, and Rod was concerned about how he'd hold up against the run in the 4-3, and didn't have that same concern with Taco. But obviously, if you had that to do all over again, I wish we would have done that. And of course, he'd fit even probably better in some of the things we're trying to do now with Coach Nolan and our defense. So, he's obviously a great player. He's already on his way to a great career, not unlike his brother, and congratulate the Steelers for getting him.
Stephen, as the trade deadline came and went, obviously you didn't get blown away by any offers for your players, though. But, in the scouting circles, they're kind of saying that maybe you guys held a little bit of a grudge against Seattle for what happened with Earl Thomas, and maybe that's why you didn't trade with them. Is that true or not, or is that something that scouts are just talking about?
That's just talk. I think the world of John Snyder, think the world of the Seahawk organization, Coach Carroll. There's zero grudges there. You don't get anywhere in business and life if you hold grudges. And certainly if there was anything there that made any sense for us and them, we'd been more than willing to pull the trigger, and I'm sure they would have been as well. So that's just strictly not true.
Stephen Jones Show here on 105.3 The Fan. I know you guys don't like to comment on negotiations and contracts or anything, but does Aldon Smith make sense as a player moving forward?
We're so focused right now on this year of just really trying to really go to work every week and, get this team headed in a good direction that everybody feels good about. And, we'll evaluate those things at the end of the year, look at the full body of work with each player. We'll go through it with Will, with our and his staff, Coach McCarthy and his staff, and look at each and every player and see what the landscape's going to be in terms of the salary cap and what our draft picks look like, and we'll make decisions based on that.
How important are the next 8 games for guys like Cheeto and Jordan Lewis and Xavier Woods? Because if we're about this season right now, but as you look forward, the secondary looks pretty darn barren if all your pending free agents didn't return. How big of an 8 weeks for you guys to evaluate and figure out who's still going to be here? How is that?
I think it's huge. I think it's it's really big. As I was saying, it's big for every player on this football team. We all need to, they know that. I mean, they got to get better. We've got to get better as a team. We've got to see what direction, each and every player is going in. For these young guys are going into their last year of their contract. It's a contract year for them. It's huge for them, but it's big for us to evaluate them as well. And you make a great point in that, these are some guys that all came out in the same draft class together. And, I know they, are wanting to really cash in. So hopefully we'll see the best football is yet to come. And this is going to be big for us, and we certainly want to, as we move forward in this season, we want to get better each and every week and feel good about where we're going.
You guys got a lot of young guys that are getting some playing time, a lot of them on defense. But when you look at those guys, do you have any that are standing out to you as, man, I really like the way that guy is developing or that guy is coming along?
Well, I think, there's several guys that would fit in that category. I mean, you start with Diggs is probably, we've liked him from day one and knew there were going to be some growing pains playing that corner position in the NFL, but he gets better every week, and we all know he's been close to a lot of interceptions this year that were really close that he didn't quite make. Now he's starting to make those plays, and he's got to work on his eyes and cut down on some of the big plays that he's given up. But you see he's got a short memory, gave up a big play early last week, and then came back with 2 picks and almost a third pick six. So, fired up about him. Certainly Neville Gallimore is really starting to understand what's going on in there, not unlike Tristan did last year. It took him some time, but, he's getting his opportunities, which is what's important. And, I think the more these guys play, the more they'll develop and certainly feel like his era's up. You also got young guys who we know are going to be back next year, like Dorrance Armstrong and Randy Gregory, are really doing some good things out there. So, there's a lot of things to be excited about as we move forward, and really feel like, as we do move forward, if these guys can make a difference in a time probably where the salary cap's going to be very tight for every team in this league because of the virus and the cap, if not flat going down, you're going to have to find young guys who can play.
Stephen, you mentioned about the quarterbacks and stuff, and Garrett Gilbert or Cooper Rush is going to have the opportunity to start this week. Is there a reason why you made the change? Was there some plays that were left on the field by DiNucci that you guys say, man, we can't have that happen, and we maybe need to go another direction? Is it more about that, or why do you go with the quarterback switch?
Well, we had a lot, as you know, Brian, a lot of great business with Coach Parcells over the years. Mike McCarthy certainly feels this way. If you give a guy an opportunity and you just don't feel like he's ready yet, you can certainly kill a guy's confidence. And, DiNucci has a lot of upside, and I think, the offensive staff just feels like, that's not positive for him to go out there and not quite, be ready yet. And so I think it's one of those things where Mike thinks, this guy, unfortunately, he didn't get any mini camps. He didn't get any quarterback schools. Everything was virtual. He got no preseason games. I mean, that's a lot to expect out of a 7th-round pick from James Madison, who's a rookie, to think you can go in there in the heat of the battle in the NFL and plug and play. I mean, we all know Tony Romo came from a smaller school, and he was 3 years in the making. Mike pointed out that Aaron Rodgers really sat and watched behind Brett Favre for 3 years. And there's a lot of guys who believe that that's in the best interest of these young quarterbacks, that you can really ruin some of them, and they can list you a whole page full of guys who got plugged in right away and struggled, and it killed their confidence, and they never really recovered. So we just feel like this is in DiNucci's best interest, and, feel like the other two guys who've been around the league longer give us a better chance to have success.
As rough as DiNucci's day was, the guy across from him, second pick, MVP talking 2017, Carson Wentz, wasn't that much better. Are you surprised at how his career has taken a turn this year?
Well, I don't know all the details. We've got so many problems that we're dealing with ourselves and so many challenges, that I hadn't really paid attention, to Carson's year. I know we really love Carson Wentz coming out. I know he's a top-notch individual. It's my understanding they have some pretty serious injuries on their offensive line. That creates challenges for any quarterback. And so it'd be unfair for me to comment on Wentz at this point.
Does Zach Martin have any hesitancy to change positions for half a season? Steele gave up 7 pressures and 3 sacks last week. He's had some real struggles, but it seems like Mike really wants to stick with him. Is Zach hesitant in any way?
No, and I think it's something that's still in play that we'll continue to look at. You got to give Steele. You got to understand he's going. That's two big-time fronts we've gone against back-to-back, and that Graham's given our right tackle a fit for years. Whether it's Lyle, whether it's Doug Free, whether it's Steele, he gives them a handful, and you got Big Cox in there, and then of course the week before that Washington Redskins line's loaded with number one. So, we just gotta continue to develop these young guys. I think that Zach would do whatever he's asked, and he'd go out there, and I promise you, he'd play it at a Pro Bowl level if that's what we needed. So it's certainly something that stays in play, and we'll continue to look at it.
Stephen, I know you don't believe in moral victories and stuff, and but your defense did play better last week, and whether it was the Eagles or whatever, but overall, watching that tape, you had to be at least pleased that maybe you turned the corner on some of the issues that you guys have had.
Well, I do think we played better, and we made strides, but you got to start stacking those up back to back, and you got to put string some games together where you play consistent, and certainly we're going to get another big challenge here. The Steelers love to run it; they're physical, and but we've got to continue to see these guys put together, and our staff put together back-to-back games, and have that kind of success before you say, "Hey, we've arrived and we're getting this now."
It's Stephen Jones here with us on The Fan. Generally speaking, at corner, are you more comfortable with the profile of a player who's more boom or bust as far as turnovers and big plays, or are you more comfortable with a corner who doesn't give up the big plays and doesn't get the takeaways?
That's a great question. What I'm comfortable with, boom or bust, or that part concerns me. But I do think young players, you give up big plays early if you really feel like, which I think is the case with Diggs, that he's going to get the big plays out of him, and then he's going to continue to have success with making plays. Then I'd rather have that versus a player who's not going to make plays on the ball. Be consistent, especially if we think he's going to develop into the player that does make plays and rarely gives up the big plays.
Stephen, we asked Joe Looney this yesterday in honor of Halloween, his top 3 candies, and he picked Almond Joy as his favorite, which was really disappointing to everybody. When you're stealing candy from one of your kids or a family member, what are the 3 favorites?
Well, I'd have to say Butterfinger for sure is the top of my list, probably followed real close by a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And if I got to throw a third one in there, I'd have to give it to the Snickers bar.
Hey, how are you?
Very good, Stephen. Sounds like a good time to let you go, man. Give him hell over there. We'll be pulling for you.
Sounds good.